So Justin Bautier,
For
Calix
sure.
CPA, here with Ashleen Aguilar. Is it Aguilar?
Yes, you
With
got it.
Take Root Training, an organization that provides Budtender training and provides educational resources to dispensaries and retail workers that want to educate their team. So, Ashleen, just why don't you take it from here and tell us a little bit more about your organization?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for inviting me to share. It all started when I was a bud tender in Washington State, starting in 2016. Very early in the industry, dispensers had really been open for like less than a year at that point. And so, as a bud tender, I was very much thrown into my job, expecting to have the knowledge that I needed to educate customers. And when I didn't, we took the time to sit there and Google search on our POS machines with the customer to kind of try and find the answers that we were looking for. So it was very lacking in terms of training. However, at the beginning of the industry, it just wasn't a priority for retail leadership to sit down and come up with comprehensive cannabis training for their employees. So I continued bud tending for a couple years, but my background is in marketing. So I ended up kind of creating a position for myself at the dispensaries that I worked at to handle their marketing, take over their social media, work on their website, all of these things. And eventually, I started working with them to create in-house training, searching around the internet, finding things like Leafly Learn, the Fairwind Certified program in Washington. People find resources that were already trying to educate bud tenders and kind of turn them into something that we could teach our new hires. And when I ended up leaving my position in 2020 to have my second child, I kind of had an epiphany that this is something that I could do to help a bunch of dispensaries. I had enough bud tending knowledge, I had enough cannabis knowledge to turn it into some sort of course or textbook. So, along with my business partners, we took 2021 to do just that. We wrote a textbook, sold it to a dispensary, and it helped them to kind of get everybody on the same page and speaking the same language. And then when they're educating customers on the other end, then customers are happier because they're understanding things better. They feel like they're empowered to be walking around the dispensary making these choices of all of the hundreds and sometimes thousands of products and SKUs that you can find in a dispensary. So once we had our textbook written, we turned that into an online course that anybody can take if they're interested in becoming a bud tender. It's a really great preparatory course that covers cannabis science, product knowledge, and then customer service. And so that's called Root Knowledge, a Bud Tender's Guide to Cannabis, and you can find it on our website. And then we took that and turned it into something that dispensaries can use to onboard their new hires in 10 shifts. So we rearranged the content, thinking through how it would make most sense for dispensaries to bring their people into it in a way that wouldn't like completely disrupt what they're already doing. Most onboarding, like new hire periods are about 10 to 14 days anyway. So we thought a nice 10 module system where they're taking one module a day would make perfect sense. And then they spend the rest of their shift doing activities that we provide to the dispensary that connect the science and the information that they learned in the module to the actual brands and products and strains that they carry right there on their shelves. So
Wow.
that's the kind of the two basic things that we do is we try to help individual bud tenders feel prepared. And then for the dispensaries that really prioritize education and training, we wanted to provide like a plug and play, done for you system that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, especially with like an onboarding module, that's something that every company oftentimes lacks, like so oftentimes people are operating a store or a business, but it's not really a business, it's more of like a job. It
Exactly.
seems like it takes, so for the business owner, I can see how that onboarding system would be very valuable because that's the thing that I would imagine like one of the things that people complain about is like, hey, I didn't really get much training. They get in there, they get put in place, you put them in front of the cash room, and you're like, go, shows them one time, go, I'm too busy, I got to go do something else. And then the person's like starts making mistakes and they come out and like, hey, why are you making mistakes? And they're like, I don't know, like I didn't really get shown how to do this very well. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's because of a lack of onboarding system. That's a lack of the owner taking the time to do things right. So that's an amazing value right there. And then of course, I imagine the value would translate just through customer satisfaction, you know? So that's incredible. I can totally see that. And then as far as training for the budtenders themselves, that I would imagine you would be potentially higher paid if you came with that set of knowledge. I don't know if you've done any metrics on that. What do you think?
We haven't yet, and it seems like right now with how the industry is, dispensary leadership is very reluctant to pay more at all. It's just like a really unfortunate disconnect because people think of the budtender as the entry level position, as kind of just a retail worker. But when anybody who's budtended knows that that's absolutely not the case, you need to know so many things. So I think that some dispensaries will pay more if you're a certified medical consultant through your state, something like that. And I think that if you go through our program, absolutely you should be paid more because you will be able to hit the floor so much faster, like you said, make less mistakes, and gain a reputation for yourself at your store that for who customers want to come to. So that's only good things for the store, so they should be paying for that. However, there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect for like what dispensary owners can do or are willing to do with the restrictions that they have on their finances already.
I think store owners need to weigh the cost benefit of having a proper onboarding process, having proper trained staff, because that's going to, when you as a business owner invest in your employees, it is a fact that they stay longer, there's more loyalty. And then of course, again, satisfied customers because you're not necessarily training them on their dime. They're coming in, they're asking questions. Oh, let me figure this out on the job training kind of thing. It's my first day, please hold on. You know, like that whole experience doesn't necessarily have to be there if they're, you know, if they come with a little bit of training and whatnot. So it's very interesting. So how about tell me a success story, like a good response that you might, like a review that you might have gotten back, a testimonial. What do you think?
Well, we are really excited because we just onboarded a dispensary in Oregon. I don't want to share any names, but we were really happy to get them set up with a set of seats for their management team so that they can see if it's a good fit for their staff moving forward. And honestly, it's been a little bit of like a time getting them onboarded with us. We've kind of had to keep poking them. We know how it is in a dispensary. They get distracted. There's customers to serve. There's inventory. You know, there's like all of the things. And again, training feels a little bit deprioritized. But our win is that we got them in, and we're really excited to get their feedback. We've had a couple of smaller individuals come through, people who have gotten jobs after going through our training, gotten jobs at dispensaries. But we're really excited for this new level of bringing a management team in to kind of review what we've done and bring it to their new hires.
Yeah, it's oftentimes very difficult to prioritize. There's always those critical things that need to be done now, and then there's the critical things that need to be done, but they get put off. And then there's the things that you want to be able to do that would bring a lot of value, but you just don't have the time because you're always in like a critical crisis management kind of situation.
Yes, so, absolutely.
Working on the business instead of working in the business is just a regular, you know, like a business 101. And working on the business always reduces those critical times that you might have. So it's really hard to be like, I need to work on the business and prioritize those when there's fires, but working on the business helps you avoid those fires. So you're not always having to deal with turnover, so that you're not always having to retrain people every time a new one comes in. So I think that's why I wanted to meet with you about this, because I think there's a lot of our clients, and we work with dispensaries and businesses, cannabis businesses all across the U.S. And I know you're based in Portland, right? Or are you in Washington? You're in Washington.
We're in Vancouver, Washington, so it's kind of
So you're
Portland,
working
but
your
very
client
distinct.
base, your client base most saturated area in the US. Like
Yeah,
except for maybe
absolutely.
Oklahoma now. Oklahoma just went hog wild when they started opening up licensing over there.
That's right. Yeah.
And Portland is a tough market. It's pretty saturated there, and I imagine Washington's similar. But there are dispensaries all across the US, and a lot of them, they still have their rosy colored glasses on and things are going good. And some of them think they're doing terrible when they're actually doing very well. They just take it for granted because it's maybe not as much as their neighbor, but not compared to some places. So I think that you're on the right track doing this kind of work. And so if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you?
They can check us out on our website, takeroottraining.com. We're also really active on Instagram at takeroottraining. And then for my own personal Instagram, there's a lot of like crossover that happens where I'm at chronicgals_420. My sister and I are the Chronic Gals. We've been podcasting in the cannabis space since 2018.
Okay.
And that's one thing that we do to kind of even expand Take Root does, is that we have a new podcast that we started last year called Talking Potheads. And it is an educational resource for budtenders. It's our free resource where we bring on experts from around the country, including budtenders, so we can talk about all of the things that budtenders need to know and also get a budtender's point of view in there as well. So it's super fun. But that's a great way to get a hold of us too. Check out our show. We're all over the place.
Okay, right on. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, hopefully you maybe a couple of my clients or somebody on my mailing list will reach out to you.